Hello everyone, me the Last Roman, welcome back to our Oda campaign in Total War Shogun 2. Now, I am going to come clean straight away. In this episode, I recorded the entire thing and forgot to turn on my microphone. So, what you have here is me doing voiceover on the video. I'll try and keep it as regular, as normal commentary as possible. But essentially what we're looking at is, we're just picking up from last time. So we've made some good progress in our conquest so far. We've got that band of territory across the center of Japan, and we're now at war with, I believe it's the Hitano. So there's a Hitano army camped by Kyoto that we're going to have to deal with. We've got our full stack of army at Omi ready to take them on. They're allied with the Ashikaga Shogunate, so we need to try and we can't get to the army where it is currently. We need to either go through the our allied territory or military access to go through the Ashikaga territory shogunate. We've got our taxes ramped up so that we can increase our end of turn income. We're also building throughout our provinces. We've recently enabled the construction of the next level of farms, which will again help to increase our income. We're also taking on some enemies in the north. We've got an army poised to invade the Uesugi at Noto. And we're going to try and take advantage of some of the rebellions that have happened in the Takeda territory recently. So there's two provinces that rebelled against them. If we can get hold of at least one of those, that'll be very useful for us. Our main point of focus, though, is going to be the center of Japan around Kyoto and the Hitano. We're building up another army to help support the war in the south. We also need to find a way to make our army poised to attack the Uesugi useful, as I don't think we're ready for that war as well yet. We've still got the agrarian toll in place, so that's giving us a boost to our farming income. And as far as technology researchers go, we're researching, I think it's Way of the Spear, so that's going to give our spear infantry +1 defense. That'll be particularly useful given that we're fairly heavily reliant on the Yari Ashigaru at this stage. From a diplomatic standpoint, we're getting to the point where nobody really likes us, so getting more deals is quite difficult. There are a couple of targets we could potentially invade in the north, as well as the Uesugi. The Date are up there as well. The recent rebellion has weakened the Takeda quite a bit. I think they've only got 5 provinces now, so that's going to help us when we finally have to come and deal with them. There is obviously that island as well that I think we can take hold of at some point. But for the time being, we're going to have to probably deal mostly with these threats from the south. We've got a couple of Amatsuke in a few different towns as well, which are helping to boost our income. We're going to have our taxes on very high for this turn, so that we can increase our income. You can see we've got 8 grand, nearly 9 grand from that turn. And over the end turn, the Hitano army has actually invaded our territory, which I think is very good. You saw they had that second army there, that slightly smaller second army. They're not giving themselves a chance to group up there. So we'll try and take advantage of that kind of stranded large army of theirs this turn. We've got some monks posted around in the territories which used to belong to the Iko-Iki. They're helping us to convert those back to Buddhist from the Iki religion, which has been causing us quite a bit of grief in terms of public order in those provinces. So this monk has upgraded or leveled up, so we're going to upgrade his ability to inspire towns, bring the taxes back down as well. We've got 2 provinces that are still struggling. These are ex-Iko-Iki provinces, so you can see the religious disorder is quite high in those. We'll just exempt those from tax for the time being. We're also working on building up another army at Wakasa, so we've got a general down there. We're bringing in troops from around. Ekizen has the Fletchers there, so we can we'll try and recruit most of our archers from there because that'll give them improved accuracy, and on top of the already improved accuracy of the Oda Bow Ashigaru, the Oda Bow Ashigaru. So we'll actually have some quite decent, quite cheap troops there. So now at Omi we can see that there's that army from the Hatano. It's quite mixed. It's got no general, so their morale will not be as good, which is an advantage that we'll have. They've also got quite a lot of infantry, but I don't think we've got a significant number of archers on top of that, so we might need to be a little careful there. It looks as well like our allies, the Hattori, are making quite good progress against the Hatano. You can see on the map now they're pretty much down to, is that 3 territories, I think? So, some good progress being made there. We're also going to have to pick a province to go for. It looks like the Takeda have an army going down to Shimoza. We're not technically at war with that rebel province yet, but we will be soon, because we want to, as I said, gain a province here as far as possible, because I think they'll again give us a bit more of an advantage over the Takeda. They do have some quite large armies of the Takeda scattered around, so we don't anticipate being allied with them forever. So we'll take on this Hatano army. It looks like we've still got 1 squad, or room for 1 more squad of units. We've also got 2 Yari cavalry, which will help us in running down the enemy. They've got quite a lot of bows, but our archers are slightly better, being both Oda, Bow Ashigaru, and also with the experience and improved accuracy. They do have some Yari samurai, but I think that they'll play very little role in the battle. The main problem we're going to come up against here is the AI's love of hills. So looking at that map, it looks like there's a hill on the left and a hill on the right for them, and it wouldn't be surprising if they tried to get onto one of those. The hill on the left as well is very close to the edge of the battlefield, which will only make it more difficult to run down the army in full once we've beaten them. So we just do some unit organisation to start it off. Get our Yari cavalry together. We'll get our Ashigaru together, Yari Ashigaru and our Bow Ashigaru, and then we're going to try and basically, I think we'll anticipate that they'll probably start moving towards the hill, the AI will. So we'll probably prepare to move to the right, so we'll put our cavalry up there. And yeah, they've straight away started on that hill, so we're just going to move slowly over towards them. Given that we've got plenty of time for this fight, there's no real need to run and tire out our troops. I'm never sure exactly how much impact that has, but it seems like an unnecessary thing to do. So we'll basically just slowly make our way over to them. You can speed that up a little bit just to make that go a bit faster. Yeah, you can see classic AI style. They're just going to take that hill. We might try and rotate them off of that. They're right up against the edge of the battlefield as well, which is going to be somewhat problematic when it comes to trying to run them down. They're taking quite an odd starting position in terms of the angle of their forces. We'll keep moving slightly to the right. And basically I think the plan would be to sort of creep up the archers so that we can hit some of their units, some of their spear units. If we can get any of the samurai, that'd be great, but if not, then it will be what it is. We do have the advantage with some cavalry. They didn't have any cavalry to come at us with, so we might try and use our maneuverability there. They've started with their spears up front and their archers in behind those, so if we're able to maybe get some cavalry or get our cavalry around the back, we could potentially run into the archers and cause some disruption and get some kills there. We've got Yari cavalry, so they've got a very high charge bonus, which means that we'll do a lot of damage on the initial charges, which makes them very good for cycling in and out and attacking. We're going to try and as well take this move up into this forest area. The reason for that being that trees tend to provide a little bit of cover from arrow fire. I think we're probably still going to be out of range of the enemy, but if we're able to engage in an archer on archer combat, and we can maintain the cover of the trees, then that's going to be very useful for us. So we can see they've got some They're basically just shuffling around that hill. We're going to keep creeping forward with our archers as far as is possible. We want to try and get some hits. We're going to have to shoot up the hill. This is, while our archers are theoretically better than theirs, they are going to have some advantage due to the hill. It'll give them a bit more range, I believe. We're not quite within range of their troops yet, even though they're in a big blob. They're actually pulling back and moving further away from our archers. So we continue moving forwards. We'll keep creeping forwards. At this stage, it's very much just about maneuvering into a better position. You can see the AI's not quite got the right battle line. It's got a lot of troops clumped up on its right-hand side. On its left-hand side, the right-hand side as we look at it. I'm going to try and spread our spears a little bit more thinly, just to make sure that we're covering their full line. I'm going to try and maneuver our cavalry now around the back. You can see the spears they've got some spears on the side here, on the left, but also the majority of their spears are on the front of their force. So if we can potentially distract them up the front, then we can get our cavalry around the back and potentially cause some harassment to their archers. We've got a good archer force, but it would be more useful for us to be able to use all of our arrows on their infantry rather than having to waste time in an archer-on-archer war, which will A, cost us some men and therefore some arrows, but B, won't necessarily kill units that are particularly difficult for us to kill. We can run down archers with our cavalry very easily. So at this stage we're just going to run in our archers. We want to move quite quickly, get into position as fast as possible. Our cavalry's going to keep moving around the back. They are sending some spears out after us, but they shouldn't get anywhere near. You can see we're just out of range with our archers at the front, so we're going to move those just fractionally forward. And typically once we get into range, that's when we kind of goad the AI into a bit of action as well. So we're going to get off a few rounds and then pull back. And what we're trying to do is essentially drag the AI down the hill. So if they can bring forward their archers so that they're a little bit more exposed, then we can start to whittle them down a little bit. Our cavalry is around the back of their army now, distracting one of their units. Ideally we'd be able to get in, but the problem is that this is a really exposed battlefield and we'd have to charge straight up this hill. So although their archers around the back are slightly more exposed than well, they are slightly exposed, we don't necessarily have an easy opportunity to hit them. That clump of spearmen on the right hand side as well for us is going to make life more difficult for our cavalry too. You can see we're going to try and come in now with our cavalry, but it's just such a large distance to cover. And they're quite able to just turn around and fire on us, and a few volleys of arrows would probably do quite a lot of damage to our cavalry units. They've got no shields to guard them. So it is going to be a challenge to try and get into the enemy army. They'll shuffle around as well quite a lot and therefore cover their archers too. Ideally we'd be able to just take out the archer units and then sit there shooting at their infantry. Not quite sure how that happened, but we actually managed to lock the hand-to-hand combat for some of our archers, which means I think they weren't shooting properly. We've taken a volley of arrows from them as well now. You can see we're dealing some damage. There are some bodies on the ground, but it's not the quickest of fights that we're able to take. Just charging in with our infantry, I mean, we could probably win this fight, but it wouldn't be making the most of the advantages that we've got. We've got good archers. Our archers are better than their archers. We've got some cavalry. And they're on top of a hill, so just charging up the hill and taking this fight is really not going to be the most efficient. We also want to try and keep our units alive as much as possible, as well as just winning fights. We've got to be able to move reasonably quickly through move reasonably quickly on from this fight. If we don't move quickly enough, then it actually does look like our allies could end up taking all the land that we want to take. And it is sort of coming towards a potential large fight against our allies at the end of this, given the amount of land they've taken. Just separated our archers up a little bit there. That's enabled us to get off a few more volleys, and now we're going to pull back on the right hand side. We're trying to we started to pull back on the left, but in an attempt to get more shots off, we've tried to stand ground, but the archers hadn't responded very well to that order. By keeping the archers in these two groups, it does give us a bit of an opportunity to get some shots off with one group, pull back, and whilst that other group pulls back, once that first group pulls back, we're able to then get additional shots with our first group. We're starting to whittle them down a little bit now, so this kind of pushing forward, pulling back tactic is working. We've managed to isolate just one of the Bow Ashigaru. We are taking a few shots from it itself, but we've now got 6 of our archers firing on it, and that should pretty much eviscerate that unit fairly quickly. Our cavalry's still not doing a great amount. I think it's causing the AI a bit of concern, and some of it's shuffling. But it's not actually that helpful to have it over there. We might look at bringing that back round at some point, just because if we're able to pull down more of the enemy archer units, it would be useful to just kill them off with the cavalry charge rather than have to use more of our ammo in taking care of them. It's not proving like there's any great opportunity for us in the rear of their army either. But we have made some progress. We've taken out one of their archer units, so we should now have a fairly good advantage. You can see we've still not used up that much ammo as well. And we haven't used our special flaming arrows either. So we'll move back up again. And now we are in range. Turn on fire at will. Their archers are coming forward again. So again, making our cavalry position not look that useful. I don't particularly want to just to stand there engaging their archers on the hill. I think they'll get a good advantage on us. Or it won't be the most efficient fight for us to take, basically. We're managing to draw forward a few more of them, and we've actually got one of their spearmen coming down the hill now as well. So you should take that opportunity to fire on him. And again, 6 archers firing straight into that thing should die fairly quickly. Let's start bringing our cavalry back around. Like I said, I think it's quite useful to have them, or they've been reasonably useful, kind of causing a bit of disruption to the enemy army. But actually, as more and more of these units, the enemy units sort of start to come down the hill, especially if they come down in 1s and 2s, it may make them more useful to have around at the front. That being said, I think we're moving them back now, given that the spearman unit here is out of position, and we've dealt some damage to their other units, so the guard around their archers is becoming lessened. But it was, I think, a little bit difficult to know exactly where to put the cavalry. If they engage the spear units straight up, they'll get eviscerated, so it will not be a very close fight in that case. We want to try and run them into the archers as far as possible. Even like charge into the rear of these samurai or the Ariashiguru would probably not do so well for the units, our cavalry units. And you can see as well on the hill here, the line of sight is blocked a little bit for our archers, making it a little bit more difficult to fire. There's some knolls on that hill, some bumps that kind of obscure parts of the enemy army. So it's an all over a fairly good hill to be camping on from the enemy. We've still got plenty of ammo, so we're going to keep our approach going. We're going to try and move slightly more to the right now with our units and basically get in as close as possible to the stuff here, where there's a big clump of spears and slightly fewer archers that might come forward. You can see they're sending forward their Ashigaru again. The same unit as before, so we're going to try and target that one. I think we'll have most of our archers firing on that fairly quickly. So again, we're going to try and pull back with 2/3 of our archers, and what that should hopefully do, if our other archers would fire, is enable us to shoot them with the remaining squads. But for whatever reason, the fire at will mode was not working. Thankfully, our other archers were able to pull back and be in position, and they managed to unleash a fairly heavy round of arrows into them. This is another downside of not having the cavalry over here, though, is that we can't now chase that down. We have to waste more arrows basically shooting them, which is of limited use really, and would rather be using the arrows for other things. So that unit is able to, the enemy unit's able to rout and leave the battlefield fairly quickly. So it's got about 1/3 of it left or something like that. So it's now rinse and repeat. We'll bring our archers up the hill. We'll fire on the enemy infantry, and we'll see if we can drag more of their army back down the hill. And we'll basically just keep trying to do this to whittle them down. You can see that actually at this stage we've done quite a good amount of damage. But this is what I mean. You can see that unit of archers that's firing is actually having to fire quite high in the sky because of that. Knoll on the right hand side there, that hill that's kind of blocking the line of sight. And this archer unit here is not even firing. But at this stage we're basically just engaging in this fight. Their archers are kind of forward, or at least some of them are, but they're also forward in amongst some spear units. So actually we're going to get a fairly good engagement here, because even if we miss the archers we should hit some spears. There's 2 units of archers left behind. We're trying to come up the hill towards them, but you can see they just turn around. And if they unleash a volley of arrows into us, it's going to be pretty bad. So we're doing okay. At this stage I think the archer battle is tipping in our favour. So the AI is going to start becoming a little bit more aggressive soon. You can see just by standing here and taking this fight, it's not going particularly brilliantly. Given the infantry charging down the hill, we're going to try and pull back and see if we can get more of their archers to come down the hill and follow us. We've got that one unit of Ashigaru coming. And now I think we've basically given up on where the cavalry are, and we're going to try and bring them back round. They did something, but not that much. One unit of Ashigaru chasing us down the hill will pull back. We're also drawing out their archers too now. Just by being on top of that hill, they do gain quite a significant advantage. But this is the exact scenario where we kind of need our cavalry ready to go, and they are very much not ready to go, which is unfortunate. And that Ashigaru unit from the enemy there is actually helping them quite a lot, because our archers are firing on that rather than the enemy archers. There's such a big clump of their units here. And it's taken us a little bit longer than we'd like, but we're now kind of ready to go in position with our Yari cavalry. And this is exactly what we wanted them, or what we needed them for. So we're going to target all of our archers onto the middle group of enemy archers, and our cavalry is going to come down the hill, or come up the hill and charge into that big clump there. They may take some arrow fire on the way, but due to the fact that the enemy had to maneuver, we shouldn't take too many hits. That should be a fairly quick win for us, a big charge like that. With the death of their archers, I think the enemy is going to have to come down the hill and face us. Managed to break all the enemy units there. We'll just pull out with our cavalry. We only took, what was that, 13 losses, so it went fairly well. We'll pull back through our infantry, and that way, when the enemy chases us down the hill, they'll charge straight into our infantry. We can just Yari wall, pulling back the archers as well. Now you can see the loss of their ability to skirmish has meant that the enemies had to give up on that idea and basically just chase us down the hill, which is what we wanted. We're at the bottom. It should be flat ground. We'll Yari wall with our units, and in so doing, should make our line fairly impermeable. We'll take our Yari cavalry around our left flank again, so that they can swoop in and run some charges from behind. It's going fairly well on the front line. We're going to bring our general in range so that we can use the Inspire on our units to help them fight, especially some of the ones that are struggling a little bit more. And you can see that the enemy army is now starting to break. We've still got our archers firing away as far as is possible, but I think they're struggling with the line of sight due to the number of our units that are in the way and the proximity of them. We'll use one squad of our Yari cavalry to chase down the routing enemy troops, and the other one will just charge into the centre here, and that should end that fight for us. So now we've just got to run these guys down as quickly as possible, killing as many of them as possible. We'll bring in our general for that job too, and very importantly, turn our archers off of fire at will so we don't kill our own men at this point.
Our general is in grave danger, my lord.
I'm going to take in we'll bring over our cavalry to kind of where the majority of them are and try and run down as many as possible. As kind of previously stated, the proximity to the edge of the battlefield is going to be a bit of an issue here, especially as in this game the units rout the moment they, or are considered to have routed the moment they touch the edge of the battlefield. So there's a limit to what can be done. You can see our cavalry's trying to catch up with them, but the moment they get there, they stop because one unit touches the edge of the battlefield. We've got a couple more units we can try and chase down. We'll try and cut them off. So overall, a reasonably successful battle. Managed to kill a good number of them at the end there, but not probably as many as we'd want to. However, that should be a fairly weakened enemy army now, and that should be quite easy for us to deal with immediately afterwards. So yeah, you can see we killed nearly 2,000 of them, so 80%, not quite enough to consider their army completely routed. The Yari cavalry doing quite a lot in the aftermath, but our archers actually getting a decent number of kills. And we can just take out that army. This is Oda Nobunaga, the guy we've been waiting for. So he's increased in rank. We're going to go strategist again just to give him the movement range. And then honestly, two not great retainers. But not the end of the world either. So we've got now about nearly half a stack down by Wakasa. We'll keep building that up. And we're going to try and take Oda Nobunaga through Kyoto to the Hatano land. We need to be careful of the Hattori, they're moving fairly quickly. And you can see they've taken over quite a large portion of the south of Japan. Kyushu and... So, we've got a lot of, well, we had a lot of money. We've been spending that. I think the most recent one we got was our upgrade to enable us to build better farms, so we're still improving those. We've also got a bit of cash left over, and we've got these ninja who we've been developing. So we might start looking at those as well to try and... Well, we'll do some fairly trivial tasks with them to try and basically enable us to level them up and hopefully make them a little bit more useful. You can see, to get to Tamba quickly, we're going to need to go through Kyoto. So just a cheeky sabotage there. Because we've got that so just a cheeky sabotage there. That levels up our agent so we can improve him further. I always find that with the ninja I go fairly mixed. I like them to be able to both assassinate and also to sabotage. The convalescence increase, I'm not sure how worth it that is. It seems like it's not something I can measure in terms of how good it is. So if the AI, if we wound an enemy agent, I'm sure there is a set period of time that they go away for, but it also feels like an area where the AI could have a cheat to kind of improve its agent recovery time. We've got 3 ninjas, so we managed to use all of them, which will help with their experience. We're continuing to recruit units and bring them up towards Wakasa. From Mino, from Owari. I think we've got some cavalry being recruited at Mikawa as well. And then we're going to move our army to Kazuke next turn. Yeah, the Hattori are just everywhere. You can see that gigantic army. It's quite annoying they're coming to attack that place and not another place. Not one of the other places that we can that we can't get to. Like there's a Hatano province in the middle of the Hattori territory that they could take, but they're coming to the one near us first, which is quite frustrating. Another monk leveling up. So we'll increase him again on the zeal front, or for the inspiring towns front. And given he's up there to convert that province, so we're now actually getting that converted fairly quickly to Shinto Buddhism from Eco. More farms being built, which is good. We've lost our agrarian toll benefit now, but we should be continuing to improve our income turn on turn. managed to get a quick
and do not mumble. Honesty and clarity march forwards together.
quick military alliance pact with the Ashikaga Shogunate, which will enable us to walk through Kyoto. And I mean, at this stage, I think I was debating trying to sabotage that Hattori army, just because I want to be able to take Tampa. And it doesn't look like we're going to be able to make that in time, which would be a problem for us. I think the Hattori are also not as don't feel so positively towards us now in the diplomatic realm as well. So I think war with them is probably inevitable. Our cavalry's been recruited. We'll bring those over, and we've got more archers as well. So that army's building up quite quickly because we've got several towns contributing to the recruitment. Over here, we want to basically attack Kazuki as quickly as possible, so we're going to do that. But rather than just declare war, we're going to take a look at our relationship with the Takeda. They're already at war with those the Yamanouchi rebels. And I think the Yamanouchi are technically a Uesugi
travelers meet and profit by it.
Vassal state. So if we just straightforward attack the Yamanouchi, we have to also declare war on the Uesugi potentially. So rather than do that, what we're going to do is we're going to offer to join the Takeda's war against the Yamanouchi. And we're going to demand a bunch of money to do it as well. So we're able to get 3 grand. We join the war against the Yamanouchi, and we don't have to go to war with the Uesugi. And this town here, very weak, so we're just going to take that. Obviously taking it via auto-resolve means we do actually have to fix that castle, unfortunately, but not the end of the world. I'm going to take down that building as well. We're not going to use it, so it is not useful. Now you can see as well, the Yamanouchi have actually taken an additional province here. And the problem is that Kazuke is going to have low public order. We're also not particularly in a position where we want to be going to war with the Uesugi yet, necessarily. So we're going to actually get a...
I will listen, but my heart
going to get a trade agreement with them.
May not be entirely helpful to our cause.
And we're also going to try and get some military access. And what that's going to enable us to do is it's going to enable us to bring over our army that's kind of been camped on the border to join up with the town that we just took, whilst our army that's in the town of Kazuki can move out and attack more of the Yamanouchi territory. And then that way we might be able to weaken the Takeda by taking territory that the Yamanouchi have taken from them. So they're already down to only 4 provinces. It's possible that that Kazuki will riot in the meantime, but our second army is only 3 turns away. So even if it does that, we should be able to come in and just take it back if we lose it. And therefore we're going to move out with Oda Nobuhide's army and try and take at least one more of these provinces. And if we can do that, then we might even divide the Takeda Empire in 2. And then, although it looks like a lot of land, the Date, the Uesugi, and the Takeda actually only have 4 provinces each, which will leave them pretty weak. And therefore, it should be fairly easy to take them out kind of one by one over the next few turns, which will leave us with pretty much nothing to do but move south and take on the Hattori. So as long as we can not go toward the Hattori for maybe the next 10-15 turns, we should be good. That's all for next time. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, everyone. If you did, please think about giving it a like. Visit the channel for more content, or simply click on the video that is on screen now. I'll see you next time.